Your brain has to change. Scientists found that if you trigger these three chemicals, your nervous system doesn't just can change, it has to.
And what I just told you is that in order to change the brain, you have to pay careful attention. And the immediate question should be, well, why? Well, the answer is that when we pay careful attention, there are two neurochemicals, neuromodulators as they're called, that are released from multiple sites in our brain that highlight the neural circuits that stand a chance of changing. Now, it's not necessarily the case that they're going to change, but it's the first gate that has to open in order for change to occur. So no alertness, no neuroplasticity. However, alertness alone is not sufficient. As we would say, it's necessary, but not sufficient for neuroplasticity. Epinephrine is released when we pay attention and when we are alert. But the most important thing for getting plasticity is that there be epinephrine, which equates to alertness, plus the release of this neuromodulator, acetylcholine. Epinephrine for alertness, acetylcholine spotlighting these inputs. Those two things alone are not enough to get plasticity. There needs to be this third component, and the third component is acetylcholine released from an area of the forebrain called nucleus basalis. If you have acetylcholine released from the brainstem, acetylcholine released from nucleus basalis, and epinephrine, you can change your brain. And what they found was when you stimulate these three brain regions, locus coeruleus, the brainstem source of acetylcholine, and then the basal forebrain source of acetylcholine, when you have those three things, whatever you happen to be listening to, doing, or paying attention to, immediately in one trial takes over the representation of a particular area of the brain. You essentially get rapid, massive learning in one shot. And it is now considered a fundamental principle of how the nervous system works. So while Hubel and Wiesel talked about critical periods in developmental plasticity, it's very clear from the work of Merzenich and Weinberg and others that if you get these three things, if you can access these three things of epinephrine, acetylcholine from these two sources, not only will the nervous system change, it has to change. It absolutely will change. And that is the most important thing for people to understand if they want to change their brain. You cannot just passively experience things. And repetition can be important, but the way to use repetition to change your brain is fundamentally different.